The typical advice for nutrition nowadays is that you need a diversity in your diet so that you have a better chance of getting all of your nutrients in. What if I told you I disagree? Eating the same thing every day could not only get you all the nutrients you could ever need in a day, but it could actually make it substantially easier to build muscle, to lose fat, to cook less, to spend less money, to have less cravings, and have a better relationship with food. And so with that pretentious hook out of the way, what does that mean for you? What can you do to reap all of these benefits in the easiest way possible? Why do it at all? Why even listen to this guy? That's a good point. I'll get to that later. But if you don't trust me yet, trust people like Alex Hormozi or Joe Delaney or Brian Johnson, who all eat the same thing every day and are all top performers in their respective spaces. So let's jump into it. Probably 99% of the world is deficient in some sort of nutrient, and we have no idea how that's affecting us. And all of these nutrients are crucial for our body to function on a regular basis. For example, did you know vitamin D is required for testosterone production, yet 95% of us don't get enough of it? Did you know vitamin C is crucial for tissue repair, like building muscle, and 46% of us are deficient in that? Did you know vitamin E is required for skin appearance and making it glow, but 84% of us are deficient in that? By the way, if you've made it this far, at the end of the video, I'm going to give you a free recipe. It's a breakfast burrito bowl, and it hits all of your required nutrients you need in a day. It's less calories than a Chipotle burrito bowl. Oh, and it costs less and takes less time, but more on that later. So our solution to this deficiency problem is to eat a variety of foods so you have a better chance of getting them in, right? Well, at least that's what everyone says. But I dove into this myself, and I've got to say, it's much harder than I thought. Let's look at this meal. Looks super healthy, right? Well, here are the micronutrients you get from it. Or this meal, also looks pretty healthy. Here are the micronutrients. Or this one right here. Now let's try adding all of these together like we just ate these three back to back in a day. Seems pretty healthy, but you're actually missing a lot of key nutrients that you need in a day. And even if we switch up our diet pretty often, we still wouldn't be hitting a lot of these key nutrients we need in a day, even though we're eating super healthy. You see, it's actually pretty hard to get all of our nutrients in. And supplements including AG1 have proprietary blends, and we have no clue how much of each vitamin or mineral we're getting in each of those. Plus, we have no clue if those man-made nutrients can actually be absorbed in our body. And so I like to go to natural sources to get my vitamins to make sure I'm actually absorbing them. I personally realized that even after me eating super healthy, that I was actually not getting all the nutrients I needed. I was getting really moody, really irritable, and really tired at certain times of the day. And then later I realized I wasn't getting enough choline, which is actually responsible for all of those things. So I wondered, what other nutrients am I really missing? And this, I have to admit, is when my inner nerd came out. I crafted what I thought was the perfect diet. Using Cronometer, which is not sponsored, I created the diet that would give me all of the nutrients I need in a day in 3 simple meals, not including dinner. What can I say? I'm not crazy. That means I can ensure I get everything I need in a day in 3 meals before dinner, and then do whatever I want for dinner every single day. Which brings me to my next point. Number 2, you can lose fat and gain muscle stress-free. It honestly seems like a lot of people nowadays have a terrible relationship with food. Let me know if this sounds familiar. You realize you're not exactly where you want to be weight-wise, so you wake up super motivated one day, and you go and you eat 2 eggs on a small piece of toast. Maybe next you have a protein shake with some milk and some whey. And then for dinner you have a small salad. And you eat light and you're like, great, I made it through dinner, I'm doing well. But then 7 p.m. rolls around, and the pantry starts to get a little noisy. Then at your weakest moment, you go and answer its call. You convince yourself you can have just 1 bite of something, but then that turns into the entire pantry. Somehow in this moment, you create the most private and shameful but joyous experience of your life. That was me every day about 2 years ago. I had no clue how to control myself around food. I couldn't help but feel hungry all the time, and I would go through cycles of extreme restriction and extreme binge eating so often. But imagine if some magnificent creature walked up to you and said, here is exactly what you need to eat every day at these specific times to get the goals that you want, to get the body that you want, and to feel as good as you can. Just eat this at these times and you'll get there in a few months. And yeah, maybe it would suck for a few days, but eventually you'd get in the rhythm of it and it would feel good. It would be all you'd expect. food wouldn't be on your mind so much because food is just a given. You're not thinking about what you'll eat next or when you'll eat next. You're not stressed about it because you know that every single time 2 p.m. or 11:15 a.m. rolls around, you're gonna be eating this. You see, I think the reason many of us struggle with our relationship with food goes back to when we're evolving and hunting for our own food. We didn't know when the next meal was, and so we had to go in fight or flight whenever we were hungry because we had to survive, to get our next meal. Knowing you're gonna have food coming at this specific time really just solves the bulk of that issue. Spending a little bit of time creating meals that you actually enjoy, are cheap, are easy to make, and fulfill all the nutrients you need will get you the results you want. And again, if you need a basic meal that does all of these things easily, I'm gonna give you one after point 3. Now it can get even better than this. Let's say I was trying to put on some muscle. I eat 2,500 calories a day, every day, and we know this and we can trust it because I eat the same thing every day. Now if I wanna add some muscle, I just need to add 250 calories or like 4 slices of sourdough bread to my lunch every day. And then because I did the work of preparing all these meals in advance, I know that every single meal is gonna have between 30 and 50 grams of protein, and they're all spaced out evenly so I don't have to worry about protein distribution. So that solves my protein right there. Now I don't need to feel stressed about food, it's just there provided for me. Now if I was trying to lose weight or I wanted to lose weight faster, I would just take away some part of my meal that's fairly high calorie but low satiation. That means it's higher calorie but it doesn't fill me up that much. Trust me, if you do it right, there's always a number where you'll lose weight. Plus, now that we're getting all of our nutrients in, we're more likely to gain muscle over fat. We're more likely to sleep better, which improves our mood and removes a lot of our cravings. And it improves our metabolism and daily energy, letting us eat the things that we actually enjoy. Now, I'll make this last point simple and short. Number 3, save money and time. If you hate cooking all the time like me, maybe this video hasn't sounded the most alluring. But if you're still here, I promise eating the same thing every day can be much simpler than you think. The first point is, if you eat it every day, and if it were hard to make, you'd probably get pretty good and pretty fast at making it every day. But the second point is, just don't make it that hard to make. When I first started doing this, I would just use a tub of Greek yogurt, put half of it into a bowl with some blueberries, some protein powder for flavor, and some nuts and seeds for crunch. It took me like 2 minutes, and honestly, it took me like 1 minute when I realized I could just throw all that in the other half of the Greek yogurt bowl the next day, and then I wouldn't have any dishes to do. In fact, I learned later that Alex Hormozi does the exact same thing. Which brings me to exactly why I think you should be listening to me. I made a freaking spreadsheet. And by no means is it required that you have to do this to eat the same thing every day. And this is probably what many of you will comment and deem as extra. But this stuff is so fun for me, and this is what I do in my free time. God, I sound like a crazy person. I was able to create meals that met my near 4,000 calorie maintenance goal. Yes, I know I eat a lot. And all of that food is grass-fed, organic, ultra premium, and of the highest quality possible. And even though I'm consuming twice what normal people should eat, I am still under the average monthly cost of food for Americans in 2022, which is probably higher this year because food costs are higher, but I don't have that data. That's crazy. So do you feel like you've learned something? Are we done for today?
Didn't you tell them twice you're going to give them a free recipe?
Yeah, that was just so they can keep watching. I don't have to, right? All right. It is time. I will give you the recipe now. And that recipe is... Okay. Just kidding. I'll give it to you now. A breakfast burrito bowl that hits all of your nutrients, is under 1,000 calories. Your average Chipotle burrito bowl without a tortilla is actually over 1,000. It costs $7.26 per meal, and all of the ingredients can be bought from the same store. For me, that's Trader Joe's. And you can easily meal prep it. Now, you may have noticed from that snippet earlier that this actually doesn't have enough of certain B vitamins. Those can easily be added by just adding more meat later in the day or eating any variety of most food. But if you want me to be thorough, you can add a cup of brown rice for an extra 250 calories or stuff it into a brown rice tortilla. And that will solve those B vitamin deficiencies. And if 69 grams of protein is too much for you, which I understand, just take out the turkey and the oil it's cooked in, which is half a tablespoon. Remove 23 grams of protein and 240 calories. Just make sure later in the day you get in some sort of meat. Maybe just make that the meal and then do some sort of chicken teriyaki bowl for lunch. The world is your oyster. Anyway, if you like this video, you can watch this video here where oh wait, This is my first video.